This is a tape filmed by Marshall Applewhite, days before he and his followers would shock the entire world.
We're going to talk to you about the most urgent thing that is on our mind, and what we suspect is the most urgent thing on the minds of those who will connect with us. We'll title this tape Planet Earth About to be Recycled.
Hello?
Yes, I need to report an anonymous tip. Who do I talk to?
Okay. This is regarding what?
This is regarding...
In 1972, Marshall Applewhite would find himself at the end of his rope. This is when he would meet Bonnie Nettles, a nurse at the hospital where Marshall was admitted for psychiatric care. Together, the two of them would instantly click and spend hours discussing religion and astrology. Marshall would tell Bonnie that he felt like they had met before in a past life. Bonnie replied by telling her patient that she believed the two of them were not from Earth, and that he had a divine purpose to get his people off of this planet. With these seeds planted in his unstable mind, he and Bonnie would begin traveling the country. They went town to town believing they were the saviors of the human race, recruiting followers for their new religion, a religion that centered around Tala, which stood for the evolutionary level above human.
So the one or the mind that was in Jesus, what? That mind is in me? You'll have to decide that for yourself. I must admit that I am here again.
Marshall would often compare himself to Jesus Christ and would refer to Bonnie as their God. The members of the group would call them Doe and T. So from this point forward, we will be referring to Marshall as Doe and to Bonnie as T. By the late 1970s, the two of them had recruited over 50 total members and had an active following of 38 people. Doe would force his students to completely detach from their past lives. They were encouraged to cut off all contact to family, friends, and anyone else who wasn't in the group. The money the group earned would all be collected by Doe to support the group through housing and food. No one in the group minded having no access to cash because, as their leaders had told them, to reach Tala they would need to shed all of their human desires and break any attachments they had to earthly possessions. Doe would tell his followers that their human bodies were just vehicles that were given to them to explore this world, and that their spirits had evolved past the stage of having physical needs. Because of this, he saw human urges, especially sexual desires, as a sin. The ultimate goal of the group was to leave Earth before it was recycled by their creators. They believed that unless they were able to leave the planet, their souls would be lost forever in the Earth's destruction. The group's original belief system said that one day a spaceship would come to Earth and collect all of Doe's followers and take them to Tala, or Heaven, which they believed was a physical location within our solar system. But while Doe, T, and all of their followers were patiently waiting for their ride home, tragedy would strike.
When we came, we had to take human bodies. We didn't take them as infants. We came into them in the mid-70s. My partner, T, and I came into our vehicles a few years before we began to help these come into their bodies. We call them vehicles.
In 1985, Bonnie Nettles, also known as T, would pass away from liver cancer. This event would shake Doe to his core and force him to completely reshape the beliefs of the group. After T's death, Doe would become more devout in his beliefs than ever. He began preaching that the end was near and that the congregation should prepare themselves to leave Earth soon. He and 8 other male members would travel to Mexico to be castrated in an attempt to help free them from their sexual desires and to bring them closer to a higher level of being. By this time, Doe and his entire following were all sharing a mansion in Santa Fe, California, right outside of San Diego. Up to this point, Doe had taught his followers that death was not the way to heaven, and that if you wanted to reach heaven, you had to do so in this lifetime. After T's death, this fundamental belief in their group was flipped upside down. Doe started believing that their vehicles were connecting them to the Earth, and that just like T, if they wanted to reach Tala, they would need to leave them behind. Around the same time, the group started believing that their bodies were anchoring them to the Earth is when they would discover the Hale-Bopp comet. Doe would become convinced that this comet was sent from T, to hide a spaceship that was meant to collect him and his followers to bring them back to Tala. With most of the male members being castrated and everyone in full acceptance of their new identities, Doe decided it was finally time to lead his people home. With their spaceship slowly approaching, the members excitedly started filming exit interviews to let the world know how they were feeling about the whole process.
And I'm just so happy to be back. I was rescued not long ago.
I would really strongly recommend, if you could find Heaven's Gate, the book or the website, go there, study it, read it. It would do you a lot of good.
I've been in the classroom since April or May of 1975. I guess it's almost 22 years. And it's been the best 22 years I could have ever experienced.
If people would just know that we're not forced into this in any way, it's, our own choosing to do it. And I'm really happy that I made this choice, because there was a lot of things kind of working against me not to, I'm sure. I know there was.
She and Do were talking, trying to teach us a little bit, and then I remembered I'd been here with this person before. I knew that it was the same person that was Jesus. Nobody ever told me that. It just came to me as clear as a bell. And I also want to say that I've been in this classroom with a bunch of classmates, and each one of them is so wonderful. You have no idea. These guys are just the bravest, strongest, most pure people. We put up with so many demons of this planet. You have no idea how the demons of this planet are, because you haven't been in a position of trying to fight them. They'd be pretty good to you when you're working with them.
My vehicle's, or this vehicle that I'm wearing, is, pretty nervous, pretty scared. Not really sure what I'm going to say. I guess, what I wanted to maybe address more was how I feel about this step that I'm taking. And some may say, well, boy, it's quite a irreversible step. And I just wanted to say that I'm familiar with irreversible steps.
On March 19th, Do filmed a final warning, explaining to the world why it was necessary to leave their vehicles behind. He sent this tape and all of the exit interviews to a former member of the group, Rio D'Angelo. As soon as Rio watched the tapes, he knew that something was wrong, and drove to the house where the group lived. But he was too late.
Hello?
Yes, I need to report an anonymous tip. Who do I talk to?
Okay. This is regarding what?
This is regarding a mass suicide, and I can give you the address.
All 38 members, including the leader Do, had committed a mass suicide. They would start by dressing the same, in all black clothing with matching Nike shoes. Then in shifts of 10 to 15 people, they would begin eating applesauce laced with sleeping pills. After finishing the sauce, they would chase it down with large amounts of vodka and lay down in bed. With a plastic bag over their head and purple shrouds laid over their body, they would all take their final breaths. When the police arrived at the home, they discovered that each member had a piece of paper in their possession. The paper included their social security numbers, date of births, and the name of their next of kin. Shortly after, they would begin contacting the families of all the members. Due to the group's reclusive nature and their lack of contact with the outside world, their families were almost always completely shocked at the news. Today, their website is still up and running, and there are members alive managing it and all of their other properties. They are currently not accepting any new members and state that without Do or T, no one else can be saved. They are still patiently waiting for the Earth's destruction to prove that their prophets T and Do were right all along. If you like this video and want to learn more about the darkest corners of the internet, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We hope to put out at least one video every week. And trust me when I say, you don't want to miss what's next.
I'm here to offer you, as these are, an opportunity to know the truth so that if you can connect with it at any level, then you might survive the respading or the recycling that is about to occur.